PM weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening and a very warm welcome. A sunny welcome this Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon. Sunshine is here, 19 or 20 degrees here in Glasgow. And bringing some sunshine is Craig Moore. Evening, Craig.
Paul, how are you? Very warm, love it.
Indeed, yeah, you feel as though you're back in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, T-shirts on.
Instead of the Gorbals Coast. And Andy, as always, pleasure to see you.
Always great to see you, Paul. Taps off tonight, yeah.
Well, the headlines tonight, Celtic fans, what are you thinking? You'll be pleased to hear that James Forrest, the most decorated player in the history of your club, signs a 1-year extension. And that comes in 24 hours after James Tavernier announced that he would be leaving Rangers at the end of the season. It's a tale of two 34-year-olds, isn't it? And how football can change. 0808 17 17 700. Andy, first to you. We're going to hear Callum McGregor, his skipper, speaking about James Forrest, and also Callum McGregor speaking about his future. But Andy, what do you make of it? James Forrest, another year.
Well, I think he gets it on merit because he's been coming on as a substitute and he's still got the fitness, he's still got the professionalism. I think he's still got that little burst of pace that can get a cross in, and he's got some really important goal involvements for Celtic this season. So, I think it maybe tells you that they haven't got it right with some of the signings for players in that position. And that's why James Forrest, I think, is still a very important player. And who knows, he might still play a huge part between now and the end of the season. He'll get more game time, that's for sure.
Craig, it shows you it's a premium, isn't it? Entertainers, people, wide players, we just don't have enough of them. James Forrest, you've watched him over the years. You must just have missed playing against him, I reckon, but maybe not by much.
I don't know how. He's been playing forever, hasn't he? No, but again, listen, I think Celtic are in a position where they can afford, to keep players within their squad that have been hugely successful over a period of time. So it is a position that, is a really important position. I agree with Andy in terms of his assists and his contributions. He's probably now recognised that he might not be a 90-minute starter week in, week out due to that. But I think in terms of what he'll be able to do with the players that come in for Celtic, those wider kind of players, he obviously is a good person within the dressing room to help drive the levels. And Celtic, due to the success that they've had, I think they've afforded that opportunity to offer that contract.
Well, his captain speaking about a number of things. You don't want to miss this. Callum McGregor asked about his own future and his ambitions for the club. But first up, he was asked about the extension, a 1-year deal for, well, the one and only James Forrest.
Yeah, brilliant. First of all, massively deserved. He's someone who's been at the club for a long time now, knows the fabric of the place, knows how it operates, knows what it takes to be a successful Celtic player. Won countless trophies. I think he's obviously sitting first now in terms of successful silverware. So someone with huge experience and always is always there when you need him. Again at the weekend there, comes on, makes a massive impact and the team gets us over the line. So somebody like that is invaluable to your building and your football club. No, I don't think there's much room in football for sentiment now anyway. So the minute you're not needed, then you're out the door. So it just shows you how important he is and how he still is. Like I said, just touched on a few days ago, that comes on and sort of changes the game, shows the moments of quality to get us over the line. And that experience and quality is so important for the club moving forward as well.
Callum McGregor then asked about his own future. I think there's 2 years still to go in his contract, but what's he thinking about the years ahead?
I've always said I want to be at this club. This is the club that I want to play for. I've came through since I was 8 years old. It's in my DNA. It's something I carry with me every single day. So yeah, for me, I want to be here. I just want to make sure that the club continue to push and want to be successful and want to drive. And obviously having conversations with the guys upstairs, and that is something they want to do. So for me, then this is the place I want to play.
Andy, he says, I want to make sure the club still want to push ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting one for the manager, whoever that might be next season. Really interesting one to see how you handle that. I can remember being in a Celtic team with Paul McStay, and Tommy Burns was the manager, and he dropped him because he thought for a number of weeks, maybe Paul's not doing it. Now, this wasn't a vintage Celtic team, but I would suggest that Paul's one of the best players that Celtic have ever had. And it's really difficult to tell someone who's been so influential for so long, and he's your captain, and you drop him. And I can remember there were, so obviously some words exchanged between Paul and Tommy, but that's a difficult one. And I'm looking at Callum McGregor, and he's been such a good professional, a model professional. He's been there for so long. He's been influential for so long. He was a backup to Scott Brown when he was so successful. He's now successful in his own right as a captain, as a leader. And I don't think this has been a vintage season for Callum, but he's been an outstanding player for Celtic. And do you still make him your captain, and do you still build your team around him? I think it's a really interesting question for whoever takes over the reins, if indeed anyone does take over the reins from Martin O'Neill.
And you heard what he said, Craig. We all know it in the game. They want you until they don't want you. And there comes a point where Callum McGregor would not be the player that he has been before. There's quite a lot in there, though, isn't there? He's speaking about the future, what the club want to do. And what is he? We'll hear a bit more shortly. Parallels here with James Tavernier. James has decided he's going to go.
Yeah, and again, listen, people, what they tend to do is attach a player's success to trophies, right? Now, James Tavernier's period at Rangers has not necessarily been trophy laden, but for me, he's still been an excellent player for Rangers, and certainly for me, he'll leave with my best wishes, and you'll thank him for everything that he's done at the football club. He would have loved to have won more trophies. Unfortunately, he didn't play in that kind of period, but he has a great opportunity to go out with a bang. There's no doubt about that. In regards to Callum McGregor, and it reminds me a little bit like the time when I at Rangers, Richard Gough, where there's listen, next season 100% he'll be the captain of the football club, but you start to hear a captain talk a little bit more outside of just a game of football, pushing the club to maybe go and invest and those kind of things. So such is the experience, and maybe a little bit of the power that these type of players can have at a football club, because they're just winners, Paul. Yeah. They just want to win, and they just want the very best.
I must say I don't understand the timing of it. I think he said pretty recently, I'm just focused on the team, the club, and the end of the season, and then the next day he's making a statement, and I just thought the timing of it was really bizarre. And it's not as though. Normally you're sitting at the top of the table, you've got a comfortable lead. This is my last season. You look at the way Andy Robertson has done it. He's been looking for a new contract. He's not been offered one. He knows now he has to leave, but he'll get a terrific send-off at Liverpool. I'm sure James Tavernier will too, but I just didn't understand the timing of it when everything now is about the last 5 games and winner taking the biggest prize of all.
Couple of pages today in the Record, and Keith Jackson's column on it. In it, he's saying it's an 11-year legacy that could well be defined through the prism of the next few weeks. And it could be, and I get it, in some ways that would be unfair, but he can then finish with, if he wins the title, 2 titles, Scottish Cup win, a League Cup win, and all the way to Seville in the European final, just 4 years ago. It's quite a knife edge for him, isn't it, for his legacy? And yet that could be a bit unfair.
I think so.
Yeah.
Listen, Paul, there's been a number of managers that he's played under. Excuse me.
10.
Is that as many as
Apparently,
that?
yeah.
But his brand, his personality, his character has never been in doubt. So there's not that many people that can be wrong about a player. He has a fantastic opportunity to finish a season in the biggest possible way, in terms of winning a title. The timing of the information coming out, I kind of agree with Andy, but I mean, so it has come out, you deal with it, but he has a great opportunity to finish on the biggest note possible.
Who is going to win? We'll be talking about it for the next hour and 45 minutes on the Go Radio Football Show. Yep, it's back. We're just 48 hours away from, less than that for the first game, which is Celtic in action with Falkirk. Then we've got Rangers on Sunday at 3 against Motherwell. Craig, you'll be there, I take it?
I'll be there at that game, yeah.
And Andy, you'll be right across the Celtic game, and also we've got Hibs Hearts, so another of your
Hibs and
derbies
Hearts on Sunday. What a great fixture that is, and a really, really big one for Hearts to kick off the post-split fixtures.
Let's hear more from Callum McGregor, talking about the future, what's going to happen for him, and does he want to stay?
Yeah, like I said there, it's obviously twofold, where if the club think I've got something to offer, and then obviously the club, like I said there, they want to keep pushing, they want to keep being successful. The one thing you do get when you're at this club is when you have a taste of success, you want to keep it, and you want it every single year, and you want to keep pushing and trying to play at the highest level you can, and then trying to get the club to the highest level and performing. You've seen it probably in Europe over the last couple of seasons, albeit in the Europa League this season. We still had a really good run, small moments away from maybe going through to the next round as well. So there is definitely progress in that front, and that's something that we want to be. We know the league's always getting more and more competitive. People are spending more money, so we have to match that and try and push on as well. And I'm sure everyone upstairs knows that as well. But like I said, if you want to be a successful team, you have to keep pushing.
The question is, do they know that upstairs? There has to be change in the summer. There has to be a communication which says, here's what's happening. Martin O'Neill, does he stay? I mean, he could win a double. He might not. He might win nothing.
Yeah,
you would expect him to win the cup, but who knows? But they have to get a pathway for next season.
Truly remarkable if he wins a double. Quite astonishing when you think of the criticism that has come for the team from their own supporters. But then, as you say, the next 5-6 games, the Scottish Cup final will tell you so much. But yeah, I think it's just so interesting because the likelihood is there'll be a different manager if Martin O'Neill, at 74 decides he can't do it for another year. Then I think everyone would understand that. But then you look at not just the Callum McGregor situation, but the squad as a whole, the amount of loan players that are going back, the amount of players that want to be sold on, the rebuild of the club. It's a huge undertaking for any new manager coming in. And then, of course, do you want to, if you're the new manager, do you want to build your team around Callum McGregor? You would obviously take advice from everyone who's watched him, not over just this season, but the last number of seasons.
Darryl's on 0808 17 17 700 asking both of you, is this the best season, or is it just that the standard has been so high from Celtic that it's given Rangers the chance to come back in when it looked as though they were out of it, and Hearts to stay top for most of the season? Craig?
I think it's been the most entertaining for a lot of people because of there's 3 teams in the mix to hopefully go to the last day of the season. In terms of quality, I've seen better seasons.
Andy?
Oh, absolutely. The standard is nowhere near. Let's even go back to Craig's time when he was playing in a brilliant Rangers team up against a brilliant Celtic team. They were, I think, some of the peak years. But this season, I mean, it's a difficult one because you commend Hearts so much for what they've done, their level of consistency. They've won 21 games. And then you look at Celtic, I'm hearing the criticism pretty much every week. And yet they are 3 points behind the Hearts, and they've won the same amount of games. And you listen to some Celtic fans tell you this is one of the worst Celtic teams that they've seen in a number of years. So the fact that we can't pick a player of the year from Celtic or Rangers, no one really jumps out at you as having an outstanding season.
Can you think of any contender from either, from Rangers?
Well, I obviously think of Negrin at Celtic just because of the goals. Without him, Celtic are nowhere. I don't know what Craig will think about a Rangers player, but you look at Hearts, you look at Motherwell, and a lot of the players do jump out at you. They have been very consistent.
Well, I think we've been allowed to talk about other teams this season so much more, and that tells its own story in terms of where Rangers and Celtic have been this season. In terms of senior player of the year, Nygren, due to his goals, absolutely. Has he been a standout? You wouldn't say that he has been. And for Rangers, that senior component, I'm like, no. Mikey Moore for young player of the year, absolutely. So, but again, I think we've been allowed to talk about Falkirk and Motherwell and Hearts and all that, and that's kind of really shown what type of season it's been. Rangers and Celtic, we know that they'll definitely improve, Paul. Can the others continue to do so?
Craig, what do you think about the reports? It's only reports at the moment that Rangers, if they want to keep Nasser Jigga, it would be 10 million. That's what Wolves are looking for. But would you imagine that they would pay that? Would you?
I would tell Wolves to keep looking for that money elsewhere. I wouldn't be paying 10 million for Jigga.
What would you pay? 7?
No.
6?
No.
4?
Sold. No. It's, 4
5.
4 million, 4 to 5. Again, for me, it's still a lot. There's still a lot of money to spend on a player that has done okay. If you've got 4 or 5 million and you can go out shopping, Paul, I'm still convinced I'd be able to get better than Jigger. It's a lot of money still.
Andy?
I don't think Rangers are in the business of signing £10 million players. I don't think it's the model that they want to try and look at and do on a consistent basis. And in all honesty, I don't think he is worth that amount of money.
The big news is for Rangers fans, if Rangers win the title, they've got much better coefficient than Celtic and Hearts. I mean, everyone knows this is a possibility, but the latest on it is that Rangers are in pole position to go straight into the Champions League. That's the latest on that.
That would be huge.
Wouldn't it? No prelims.
Really
That
massive.
would be huge, yeah. I mean, just because we know the finances that come in from Champions League football. So if Rangers
35-40 million
did find a way, that would be a huge lift.
Jack Butland, where's he going to be next season, Craig? I mean, I heard you saying on this programme a few weeks ago, Jack Butland, you'd be watching to see if Rangers win the title. It's going to have to be a big month or two for Jack Butland. Yep. They're looking, Danny Rowe preparing a huge summer transfer window, apparently, according to Football Insider. And we've heard chat that there could be another keeper on the way.
Yeah, there has been rumours about Rangers potentially looking at something else coming in, Paul. I think Jack Butland has another season. I think Rangers will have learned from the Morelos, the Kent kind of situation where you need to start taking cash in for your players, your better players. So if the right kind of offer come in for Jack and then Rangers were in a position where they can get something younger where they have the opportunity to develop and sell for more money, it's not a crazy situation. Jack will just try to do his absolute best between now and the end of the season. He's protected contract-wise anyway.
Of course. How is he for passbacks? Because that was the big topic at the weekend. Obviously, at the Cup semi-final, and poor Ryan Mullen, he's out for 4 months.
Yeah.
I see he was pilloried. And then obviously down at Arsenal, Man City as well. The two keepers made a ricket of it. So
Celtic goalkeeper as well.
Yes, Iheanacho, of course.
Huge part of the game now to be so comfortable with the ball at your feet and almost be able to control it on both sides and make passes. But I mean, Jack Butland, I think, has been a terrific goalkeeper for Rangers. The interesting thing is, again, with the manager, he's a relatively new manager. And I think whatever he decides, if Danny Rowe was to win the league for Rangers, I mean, he carries a lot of sway with what he wants and in terms of his team, his squad, and how he wants to put it together. If you get a good offer for a keeper, by all means, sell at a big profit and go and identify someone else.
We've talked a couple of nights about this. You're absolutely right. Iheanacho as well, almost, sold the jerseys as well. Made a spectacular save afterwards.
Brilliant.
What is it? Craig, I've asked you many times. Get the ball up the pitch sometimes.
That's all.
But the midfielders were playing it back. Celtic were 2 up, as you know, Andy. Then what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, Aidan McGeady said last night, but sometimes the confidence begins to go. Inevitably, you turn back the way you play it, back to the back four, and then back to the keeper. And then the press is on, and then it's a catastrophe.
I always laugh at this because when I speak to my good friend Pat Bonner, oh my goodness, that rule would have killed him because he wasn't the best with the ball at his feet. And listen, it is the way they're taught. Yeah. It's the way they're coached. It's the way that some managers, coaches absolutely insist.
Is that a fad?
That you
absolutely.
It's not a fad. Listen, you've been seeing it for years, and it'll still go on, and you'll still see horrible mistakes. Well, the one recently it springs to mind is the one that Motherwell lost for Park, I think. Yeah. But it's the way they're being coached, and who is to argue with the value for money you've had at Fir Park this season watching Motherwell?
I played in front of 2 very, very good goalkeepers. In Andy Gorham and Stefan Kloss. Yeah. And both of them couldn't kick the ball.
Really? Yeah.
Nah, you look at...
Andy Gorham could kick a ball.
Nah, he couldn't kick it far. He couldn't kick it far.
Not far enough for you.
No, out of his hands, no problem, but passing it back and all that sort of stuff, you knew. I'd rather have a goalkeeper that makes big saves and gives you huge confidence as a defender. But you're right, Paul, you touch on it's a fad. Yeah. Nowadays, it's bonkers for me. When you start hearing recruitment and this and that, and they're talking about a goalkeeper, and the first conversation is what is he like with his feet?
Right. What about his hands?
I'm like, can he make a save?
Yeah.
It's changed. So it really has.
Pat Bonner, I love hearing him on Radio Scotland. Get the ball up the pitch. He loves the ball up the pitch, doesn't he?
Got to love back.
And why not?
You got to love
You
him.
felt for Ryan Mullen, didn't you? Because
Yeah.
he had an injury.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, horrible
yeah.
afternoon. I mean, making the mistake and so early, the focus being on you. The last thing you want just to draw attention to yourself with such a horrible error, and then of course the injury which keeps him out for a long time. It's not easy to, when you're a young kid and you're trying to make your way in the game, to get an opportunity. The first thing you want to do is try and keep it.
See, the thing is as well, so the coaches will always say, because this is the way that we want to play, we'll take responsibility, which is all well and good. But I still wouldn't want to be making that kind of mistake.
Sure,
Not, of course, I made mistakes. I scored own goals and all that sort of stuff. But you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to put myself in a position where those kind of moments are going to be stuck to me, certainly on a regular basis. But you are seeing it across the board with so many teams, where teams don't have to be that good to create or get opportunities. It's just based on gifts that have been given to you.
The race is on. We're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
What a weekend awaits in the title race in Scotland. Saturday afternoon kicks off with Celtic Falkirk at 5:30, and then on Sunday 3 o'clock Rangers at home to Motherwell, and then the Edinburgh Derby, Hibs Hearts at 4:30. Other games as well at the other end of the table. What about Aberdeen against Killie on Saturday at 3? St Mirren Livy. Livy, of course, they'll go down if they lose there officially. And then, Sunday I've given you, there's also Dundee United against Dundee, Dundee not out of it already. Mm-hmm. But everywhere you go, people are talking about who's going to win the title. The fact is, nobody knows. You know how it's sitting at the top of the table? We've got Hearts on 70 points after 33, Rangers on 69, Celtic on 67. Who's it going to be? At which point of the programme do I ask for your predictions? Let's hear a bit more chat. There's been nothing from Rangers. They've been away to Spain last week. They got the kind of weather we've got here on the Costa del Clyde, but they're back and it's been all quiet, apart from behind the scenes James Tavernier. This will be his last 5 games for Rangers. What a way to go out for him if they were to win the title. Rangers keen on a Portuguese player. He's also a Guinean international. Centre-back Gilberto Batista. He plays with Morenese. So we don't know too much about him, but any thoughts on it?
Look, I've just seen his profile. He's had a decent enough season in terms of game time. Currently, he was at Sporting as well as a younger lad. Again, it's one of those ones where promising young talent, but probably still looking to really kind of establish himself. It's hard, Paul, when you can't get too excited about someone that's just broken through and had one season. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you do try and get ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
All the stats and the data, the analysis you look at, and I imagine Rangers are in the market for players at 2.5 million, and that seems to be his value.
I see Alex Ray, now of course assistant manager at Partick Thistle. Like you, Andy, he questioned the strange timing of the announcement that James Tavernier is going with 5 games to go. I kind of understand it for the player, because I mean, programmes like ours were saying for weeks it doesn't look as though he's going to get another contract, and it's proved to be true. And you can understand Danny Rule will want his own way. He's one of the highest paid, I believe, at Ibrox.
It's just, it's again, there's a reason why it's come out now. We just don't know what that reason is. So I find it,
Well, it came from the player. It didn't come from the club.
Again, that's what I kind of asked you earlier, whether it had been backed up by the club and all that sort of stuff. But again, the player's not coming out and I think doing something like that without running it by the club, if that makes sense. But the timing of it is strange when there's so much at stake, and at the end of the season, good, bad, or indifferent, I think people are going to say their best wishes and wish Tavernier all the very, very best as well. Strange timing.
I see Dave King says that he should get another contract, and he should also get a testimonial at the end of the season. I think he then said, okay, he's going, but give him a testimonial. Hibs Hearts, we don't often hear the Hibs manager on the programme. We're going to tonight, Andy, your old team, because obviously it's one of the 3 games of the weekend. Hibs Hearts Sunday evening. Here's David Gray.
The derbies are always massive. I know that more than most, having been involved in them for so long. There's certainly an edge to this one because of what's at stake for both clubs. Everything to play for, as you've just rightly said there. We are going for that top 4 finish. We're desperate to try and do that. And this is a business end of the season now, where everyone plays everyone round about us. And the exciting thing is every team in the top 6 has got something to play for.
Sure have. Andy, what are you thinking about this one for Hibs Hearts?
Oh, there's nothing Hibs would like more than to dent that Hearts title bid. They would absolutely love a home win, and not just to put one over in Hearts, but to get them closer to Motherwell. Motherwell are obviously at Ibrox this weekend on the Sunday. Very difficult for them to get points there. But with Hibs at home, the last time they were at home against Hearts, it was a terrific victory. I know they've lost the 2 at Tynecastle, but they will be really up for that game. It's a huge test for the Hearts. And if they come through that, and then the next one at Tynecastle next week, when they're home to Rangers,
Yeah.
I can't see them throwing it away after that. I think these next 2 games will tell you a lot about, maybe where Hearts will finish.
You reckon, Andy, if they win those
next
2,
two.
then you
If they
can
win the
get
next
ready
2, yeah.
the Maroon.
And that's so tough to go to Easter Road and win against your rivals who are so determined not to allow you that chance. And then, of course, the home game against Rangers.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Hibs Hearts is on Sunday and Celtic have played on the Saturday night, and Rangers have played at 3 o'clock as opposed to the 4:30 kick-off for Hearts. So they could get a lift if both clubs drop points, Celtic and Rangers drop points, or there could be some added pressure if Celtic and Rangers both win, which I expect them to do.
Well, the SPFL getting ready with some maroon ribbons. They've not had them for whatever in the history of the SPFL.
Well, it's just a great contest, really
Sure
great
is.
contest, and every week for so long now it's been like this, and I'm sure it will go down to the last weekend of the season.
Craig, looking at it from a Hearts point of view for a moment or two then, so for Derek McInnes, your old teammate, that's true, isn't it? If you can win these 2 games, wow, he's in some position.
Put yourself in a fantastic position. Listen, derbies, there's always something at stake. And if you're a Hibs player, you're desperate to stop Hearts from trying to win the title. That is your motivation. There's no doubt about that. I know you say you want to finish 4th and all that sort of stuff. You can stop your rival winning a trophy. For Hearts, obviously, so much at stake to go and win the title. So, look, it looks as if it's going to be a really, really good game. I do believe that probably what's on the line for Hearts is probably going to get them over the line in this derby. If they were to go and win the next couple of games, Andy, like you touch on, with 3 to go, it puts them in a really, really strong position.
But for Hibs, there were murmurings a few weeks ago, Andy. They are doing better again, but it's only inevitable. You look at your neighbours in the city, 2 big clubs, and they were so far behind in perception, but they've had a couple of good wins now, and they needed it. So Hibs will really, for David Gray, loved by the Hibs fans, but he needs to win. And if you've got Hearts winning the title, it puts them under pressure.
Yeah, I think a top 4 finish with Hibs is very good, and it's very acceptable, and it's something to build on, and it's European football, and that's great. And obviously, it would, if you were to get that, I would assume they're going to beat Hearts the weekend if they have to have any chance of really making a run for that top 4 spot. So it's got all the makings of an absolute cracker.
Derek McInnes was speaking about the game itself. Fresh injuries, that was the news yesterday, and it's a couple of them. He's speaking about them now.
Ocean's out for the season, unfortunately. So real bad news for us on that one. He has got a tear in his thigh, hamstring, sorry, and to go along with Thomas Magnussen's tear in the thigh. So it's 2 big competitors and big parts of our team out.
Blows for them, but they've come through worse, of course, given the fact that they lost Shankland for so long. And he spoke about the fact that the top 6, that they've beaten every one of them in the last 6 months.
Got to try and do what we've done already previously. Those points against the best teams, better teams, has been really crucial for us, and I think it says a lot really about the team. The bigger the game, the bigger the performance, and we've had a lot of big results. But we've got to try and go and do it all again. It doesn't give you any guarantees that, but it certainly helps you confidence-wise.
Hearts fans, what are you thinking? Or Hibs fans, 08 08 17 17 700. I think we'll have Danny Rule tomorrow night, I would imagine. Craig, can you give him a buzz? See if we can get him on tomorrow. It's been quiet from him since they went to Spain. Any chat from it?
No, actually, you touched on it, how quiet it has been. It probably wouldn't have been as quiet back in our day if we had a trip to Spain. So, no, they seem to have managed things well. Again, used as probably preparation for the final 5 matches. But Rangers have kept things really, really quiet and in-house, Paul. There's no doubt about that.
Huge weekend for Celtic last weekend. It could have gone wrong. They were 2 up by half time. But then it went to 2-2 right at the end. We know the story. And then that remarkable, 6 minutes, 4 goals. Callum McGregor, speaking today, said he thinks in the title run-in, his team has the edge.
Well, I don't think I'd be doing my job properly if I don't think that we had the edge, just because, you know, I'm a Celtic player. I see the Celtic team every day. I see how we train. I see what we've overcome already this season in terms of a little bit of adversity, change of manager twice, fought back from where we were. We're in a cup final, we're in another cup final, so I see enough signs that the team want to win, they can do enough to win. It's just about channeling that in the right way, and we know that Hearts and Rangers are also good sides. We know that the top 6 are all good sides, so there is points to play for. And obviously, I mean, you have to win all your games if you want to win the league, so everybody's thinking the same. And can we win enough of them to make sure that we're champions?
Andy?
I think the big surprise for me this season about Celtic is the fact that they've lost 8 games. It is so unfamiliar with all of the Celtic supporters to see them having lost so often. But having said that, they're still very much in it, and they do have a lot of people who've been over the course before, Callum McGregor included, of course. And we spoke earlier about James Forrest, who's still got a bit to offer. But you look at going to a semi-final and doing the really hard stuff to get 2 in front, and then unbelievably St Mirren come back and make it 2-2, and you thought it was going to be a bit fraught in the extra time, but Celtic went up a gear. And I think it's important if you have someone like Iheanacho who can come on and look as sharp as he did and just get these 1-2 touch finishes. I think he could be a real game changer in the next number of weeks. If he gets, if he steers clear of injury, he gets his game time, I'm sure there's another few goals in him.
Greg, this is what Martin O'Neill said about Iheanacho afterwards.
I couldn't disagree with that. Yeah, obviously he's had the few injury problems. I think I said too that sometimes if you felt as if he started the games, he might not see the game through. We've got a couple like that at the moment. But he's today. His goals have been big for us, really big. He says he is completely fit. You know, I'm not completely sure, but he was brilliant for us. Brilliant. He took the goals magnificently. He can hold it. You can see why he's had a career. Greg,
every player's going to tell you they're fit, aren't they? At this stage of the season, every player with big personality and wants to win. He's the best striker that Celtic have in the building. There's no doubt about that. So he can play a really, really important part, as do, like I said, the other clubs that we've mentioned in Braga and Shankland and Chimity and Miovski. These players really have a huge role to play between now and the end of the season.
Would you start Iheanacho this weekend or bring him off the benches?
From someone looking outside in, you want him to start, and if he says he can last the whole game, then see if he can. But you look at so many games when Celtic have been on top and they can score a goal and they can go a goal in front early on, as they did a number of weeks ago. Who was it against? Was it against St Mirren? Got the early goal and you thought, well, this might be an opportunity to rack up a few goals and maybe make a dent in the fact that they're a bit behind in the goal difference. The league is so tight, it might come into play. I know we're saying the same thing about down south when you look at Arsenal and Man City. So to have a goal scorer and someone who's in form, and you would have to say Iheanacho, even allowing for the fact that he seems to be coming off the bench, he's certainly someone who's so dangerous in and around that 18-yard box. And I'd certainly like to see him get more game time.
You want to, again, as a player though, Paul, you want to be starting, right? Because you can really go and influence a game of football. Coming on as a sub, you're coming on as a sub normally because maybe the plan's not come together, or you really there's pressure on to go and get that final goal and all that sort of stuff, or you're hoping you're 2 or 3 up and all that. And Celtic, what they have previously done, and it's not happened since January, is when they get one, they get 2, 3. They've arm wrestled their way to a lot of results. Goals are really, really important, but as players, certainly attacking players, and I'm sure a lot of the supporters, they would want Iheanacho starting, I would imagine.
I think so. Yeah, but whether or not he can last the pace.
Yeah, well, what can he do? Can he give you 45 minutes? Can he give you 60 minutes?
For sure he could.
You know, is that a better option than doing half an hour as he seems to be doing at the moment? Listen, no one knows better than the Martin O'Neill and his medical staff the information that they give him. He'll make the right choice.
A bit more from Callum McGregor speaking about this title race like no other.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting time, obviously for us. We've been here, over the course. We know how to win, and we know that we have to stay calm and follow the process and train well and all these things, prepare the team properly. And then when you get the chance to play, it's like you said there, it's 5 hurdles to get over. So you take one at a time and put your maximum into that. Once that one's done, you move on to the next one, and that really is the sort of template for success. So we will be doing everything we can over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks to make sure that we come up with maximum trophies. 5
hurdles, 5 cup finals, whatever you think. Give us a call, 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
So, some news today about TV and Football Focus that's been on air since as long as I can remember, Andy. And Craig, it's going to be no more after the end of this season. I mean, it's something that we all watched. I know things have changed with so much live football, but it was after playing for the school in the morning, you would then get ready for a game in the afternoon, but you'd watch Football Focus.
Well, it was great when I was a kid at school, but since playing and going to games, I honestly can't remember the last time I saw it. But yeah, it was always a staple diet back in the day. Bob Wilson was.
Oh, it was amazing, wasn't he? Yeah, Scotland goalkeeper, Arsenal goalkeeper.
Brilliant.
And who else did you mention?
Sam Leach before him, which
around the face,
gives my age away a little bit, but he was also great.
It's a shame to see that's going at the end of the season, Craig. But did you watch when you were playing at Rangers, would you sit down and watch the previews beforehand? Because I know players and managers always say, I never listen. I don't read the newspapers. I don't listen.
Liars.
They always say
liars. Again, I watched so much football when I was playing. No, honestly, you wouldn't so any kind of stuff that was before the preview
Pity
stuff.
You don't know.
And football.
I'm kidding.
I watched plenty of games, Paul.
I know you do.
No, but so those kind of programs and the highlights at the weekend and all that sort of stuff, I couldn't get enough of it.
But you can pick and choose your live games now.
Of course, there's so many.
You don't watch every single one, but I think I watched too.
Laurie, I would imagine you watched Football Focus for many, many years. Good evening.
Oh, yes, indeed I did, Paul. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
Hi, Laurie.
I think myself, Paul, I read that earlier on, and I think it's another sad reflection, perhaps, as to how satellite TV has taken over football. And admittedly, they do pour a lot of money into it, but there'll be a lot of people that can't afford satellite TV, and programmes like Match of the Day and Football Focus, perhaps, are within their means, as a TV licence holder.
Yeah.
If you're watching these programmes, watching commercial television. But I'm afraid that's another casualty to satellite TV, in my estimation, Paul.
Of course, the people organising it as well maybe have lost their focus as well. In my view, in my humble view, that it could have been better. It's not been as good, there's no question. Need to give people what they want to watch. But it is difficult with so much live football now on Sky, TNT, everywhere, Laurie. But anyway, Laurie, I know your focus will be on Celtic, 5 games to go. Are you pleased about the James Forrest 1-year extension?
Yeah, but before a comment on that, Paul, if you will permit me, I'd like to speak for a moment or two about a lot of the ridicule that some people have been subjecting to James Tavernier. Because of his lack of silverware. It's a total nonsense, and I'll tell you why. Because 2 players who graced the hoops of Celtic with great distinction, and indeed are enshrined in the club's folklore, namely Paul McStay and Jimmy McGrory. Now, as coincidence would have it, Paul, both of those players played for Celtic for the same number of years, 15 years each. Each of them, again coincidentally, only won 3 titles each. So if you're going to define a player by, his gongs, I mean, it's nonsensical. Who would doubt Paul McStay and Jimmy McGrory? Both of those players are still lauded in the club's songs. So I think it's grossly unfair to James Tavernier. James Tavernier, to me, it was a great set-piece specialist. He could strike a free kick with an iron accuracy. He scored some wonderful goals. And he could pass the ball with slide rule precision. So, although I'm a Celtic man, Paul, I like to be a fair guy. Regarding the run in for the title,
love it, Laurie. By the way, that's brilliant. A great point. You know, Jimmy McGrory is still scored more goals than anyone in club football in Britain. That's true, isn't it? I'm just double checking. Yeah. More goals than anyone. And do you know that Celtic tried to sell him to Arsenal? And right. It's a great story. It's too long to tell you just now. Others will tell it much better. Oh, steady on. But do you know what? It was at the station down in London. Celtic were going somewhere to play. Okay, so they met. Was it the Chapmans that owned one of them? They met up. Yeah. And the deal was they were going to sell him. But he wasn't for going. And then on the way back, they met again. And Jimmy McGrory didn't want to leave.
His record is just ridiculous. Yes. And when you talk about people, Celtic people getting statues, my goodness. For someone who scored so many goals, it was almost like a goal a game, and he's more than 500 appearances. Just astonishing.
Amazing.
But then times move on.
Yeah, well done, Laurie. Like the perspective there, and I love the fact that's great saying about James Tavernier as well. So, what's on your mind tonight, though?
Well, my main point tonight is the league programme, of course.
Yes,
is coming back this weekend. There are 5 matches left. So we're fast arriving at the denouement of the season. I'm feeling quite optimistic. Rangers and Hearts are both going to come to paradise. The other reason I'm optimistic is Alistair Johnson and young guy Osmond both played in a bounce game. So they're coming back. The club has been reinforced. The squad has been reinforced. But the thing that has really heartened me, most of all, is the 3 goals in the last 2 games that Kelechi Iheanacho has scored. This guy's only 29 years of age. He is a natural finisher. He seems to have got over his fitness problems now. So I think that as we go into the home stretch, to coin a baseball euphemism, Paul, things are really looking good for my club, Celtic.
Well, he could make the difference, Laurie. I think you're right to highlight his ability, his knack for scoring a goal, maybe his knack for scoring an important goal, but you're dead right to highlight his issue with fitness. It was the only reason he was available on the free transfer list out with the transfer window. He's been injury prone for too long, but I think, as we have all seen, Laurie, when he's fit, he can be so effective. Some of his finishing is really top class, and like you, I hope he can keep his fitness, maybe even build on it and play a bit more. If he's, I mean, you're listening to Martin O'Neill earlier. He's not convinced that he can play the 90 minutes. So I'd love to see him play a big part for Celtic in the next number of weeks.
Where's the evidence, though, that Celtic will win the league? Craig, I would imagine you'd be thinking, Celtic were 2 up against St Mirren.
Yes.
Yet again, it goes to extra time at Hampden.
And then, obviously, and then blew St Mirren away.
I know what's happened. The heat?
No, I don't know what happened there. But listen, Iheanacho, for me, again, he's the striker that can really make a difference. You give him time and space, he will score. Fitness, I understand that in terms of where he's at again, but I think he'd be desperate to be starting in matches. Celtic have got a great opportunity this weekend, really, to go and at home get a result against Falkirk and put the legs up and watch the games on Sunday. So Celtic are in a good position, but the Celtic team of late have been very inconsistent as well, and I think that is something that you can't really afford to be in the remaining 5 matches, but they've got a great chance to start getting that match first. I think is a huge advantage.
Well, knowing the Celtic supporters like I do, they won't even be relaxed at 2-0 up now. I mean, 2-0 up against St Mirren at Hampden, and within the 90 minutes they lose 2 goals and had to have extra time. And I know they were terrific in extra time and the finishing was top class, but 2-0 up and you still can't relax. Normally it's been just the one goal that's been fraught with anxiety over the last number of weeks.
What's that about? Is it lack of confidence?
A handbrake?
Lack of managing the game, lack of big players doing the right thing at an important time. It's still a concern. Celtic can score goals, but my goodness, they can concede them as well. When you look at the the top four, they have conceded the most.
Laurie, would you start Iheanacho then at the weekend?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. We've got to go for bus now. I know people will say we can bring him on as an impact player. We don't have time to bring him on as an impact player. We have to go for bus now, Paul. It's all or nothing. If we get a good hour out of Kalechi, and if he produces and then runs out of gas, then you can bring somebody on. But when we kick off the start of the game, it has to be your strongest 11, the players who are capable of scoring the most goals. And that's it for me. So Kalechi should now be our main striker. We've got 5 games to go, plus, of course, the Scottish Cup final. I think this has been, a very mysterious season in a lot of respects for Celtic, without getting into the Wilfred and Nancy business. My comments are well documented about that, Paul, as you know. I'm not going to go down that road again. The Blessed Martin has come to our rescue twice now, and I think his reappointment will be vindicated. At the end of May, I think Celtic will have won the double.
Oof. Strong words, Laurie. Confidence as well.
Sure. I want to start scoring goals, though, because it could come down to goal difference. At the moment, as you know, Celtic plus, 24? Hearts plus 30, Rangers plus 35.
Yeah. Listen, it's just set up. It's set up brilliantly to really go to the wire. I'm quite happy that Iheanacho comes on for the last 10, 15 minutes of games rather than start matches.
And did you think he'll start? Sorry, Craig,
do I think he'll start?
Yeah.
I think he'll start, of course.
No, I don't think he will. When you listen to Martin O'Neill earlier, I think you would prefer to have him being a bit more explosive, maybe over 30 minutes, maybe 45.
It could go all the way. See, the last game of the season, Celtic could beat Hearts, but Hearts could win the title on goal difference. It could happen on the last day.
You still think goals are important?
I think so. Hugely.
You're painting a crazy picture of the league, but that's what it's been this season. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Callum McGregor, he was asked today, previous experience, will that have an impact?
I think it is an advantage. Of course it is in life when you have good experiences, bad experience. You have to generally live it to go through that and come out the other side. So the fact that we have been there and been successful, we can draw on that, but it's not the only thing that's going to make us successful. So we have to still do the basics. The team have to train well, recover properly, get to the games. We have to be connected. We have to press properly. So you still got to do all those factors. You won't just win it off experience alone, So you still have to earn the right to do everything you can over the next 5 games to hopefully be champions.
Laurie, thanks for joining us tonight. The denouement, I didn't think we'd hear that in the programme tonight, but you remind me, Jimmy Sanderson used to come up with, as you know, things like you accusing me of mendacity. In your case, denouement. Merci, monsieur. Au revoir.
Good night, guys. Cheers.
Good man, Laurie. Enjoy the games.
Thanks, Laurie. The news is next, and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Hour 2, Paul Cooney with Andy Walker and Craig Moore. All bases covered. Lots of Celtic fans coming on saying they're delighted that James Forrest has another year's contract, and Rangers fans and some of the Celtic fans saying good luck to James Tavernier. Many of the Rangers fans want to thank him for what he's done over the 11 years. Yes, you'd have loved more titles, but Laurie, that was interesting what he said just before the news about, for example, Paul McStay, 3 titles, Jimmy McGrory, 3 titles, and actually James, our executive producer, tells us Jimmy McGrory is the all-time leading goal scorer in the top flight in British football, which I mentioned. He boasts an incredible 550 competitive first-team goals in 547 games. Wow. At Celtic and Clydebank, that was between 1921 and 1937.
The words outstanding, astonishing, unbelievable. They just don't cut it with that stat. It is truly remarkable.
Well, let me throw in another name for you. John Gregg, the greatest ever Rangers player. Yeah. Now he was captain of the football club when Celtic also went through a winning period. Now is John Gregg not he's the greatest ever Rangers player? So again, you attach trophies to players, and I agree with Laurie. I think at times, I think. It's
how many titles did he win?
John Gregg couldn't tell you.
You're working me hard here.
Knowledge.
Yeah. But he took Rangers to Barcelona in 1972. Cup Winners' Cup.
Yep.
Winners. Cup Winners' Cup winners. Remember? Big Derek Johnson was in there.
I was 7, I think.
Were you? And also this weekend there's the Davy Cooper tournament in Hamilton. Young Marie will be playing. There's the girls' tournament with the guys as well, I would imagine. But I know there is on Sunday. I'll miss it only because of the kilt walk on Saturday and Sunday, 20,000 sellout. But it's great because the statue to Davy Cooper, we see it every couple of weeks there.
It'll be well attended, and you'll see all the young boys and girls itching to get a game.
He was some player, wasn't he?
Top.
Davy Cooper.
Top player. I mean, I didn't see him at Rangers and that sort of stuff, but he was.
You've seen the videos.
And he was just the way he was spoken about by everybody at the football club, even when I was there.
And he loved it. Clydebank, Rangers, Scotland, and of course Motherwell.
I played against him a number of times, and then of course he went to Motherwell and had a bit of success, and he was admired on the international stage, I think, just for the stuff he did for Scotland. I remember that pressure penalty in, was it 85 down in Cardiff? It took us to the World Cup. Sadly, that was a night remembered for
of course.
the loss of Jock Stein, but what a pressure penalty that was.
Certainly was. And Jock, I mean, that was tragic, wasn't it? And then, of course, Alec Ferguson took us to the World Cup finals. So football, it's a great unifier though, isn't it? Lots of people coming on from both sides and all sides, speaking about both players. James Forrest going to be here for another year in Glasgow. I don't think he wants to play anywhere else. That came out, Andy, over the last few days, isn't it? And actually, Aidan McGeady said, I think on the show, I don't think he'd go anywhere. He would probably just finish.
I think when you've been there that long, you want to see your time out as a professional with the one club that you've served. I mean, I think if James Forrest was going to leave, he would have left years ago. And maybe when he wasn't playing and he wanted to, he could have certainly got a regular game elsewhere, but he's hung on in there. He's been very much a team player, and certainly his contributions in terms of goal assists, goals himself. I mean, he scored every season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Just remarkable. Maybe he's got another one left between now and the end of the season.
Remarkable, isn't it? Since 1892 or something.
What
a professional season. 08 17 700 Celtic fans, what are you thinking? Rangers fans, what about James Tavernier? Who do you want to sign as well? On Celtic, Andy, I see Football Insiders say there's plans to discuss a new contract with Luke McCown, who scored, of course, last weekend. 28-year-old, 1 year left.
Well, again, I think this should be down to the new manager, who's you would expect to come in. No matter whether Celtic win or lose the title, you do feel as though there's going to be a managerial change. It's not as though Martin O'Neill is screaming from the rooftops, give me the job next season. I think he's maybe hinted that he's done his shift, but maybe they'll ask him to stay. Who knows? But whatever happens, I think Luke McCown has shown that he can contribute. He's not your first choice pick, but he's every club now. They're built on the strength of their squad, and you need players like Luke McCown to come in and do a job. That's what he's done.
You need Scottish players. Scottish players. So, Luke McCown, maybe not that starting player for Celtic week in, week out now. Could he be in a year or two? Absolutely. And he's a Scottish player. So when you start talking about, obviously, European competitions and the like, you need a Scottish quota.
It's just not enough, father. Celtic, Rangers, in fact, most of the clubs. Look at Dundee United early in the season. They didn't field one Scottish player.
That's right.
One of the times. He's not Scottish, but he's been here 11 years, James Tavernier, so the speculation about him is over. 5 games to go. Barry Ferguson spoke about him on the programme on Monday, ahead of the fact that we knew for sure he was going, but when we thought he would be going, Barry had real praise for the man who was his captain for 3 months this time last year.
He's been a great servant for Rangers. I still believe he has a lot to offer the team. I don't think you can buy experience, and that's one thing that James Tavernier's got.
He was really impressed, wasn't he, Craig, last year? You remember, because it was all the chat about, would he change? Should Philippe Clement have changed manager? No, he didn't. And then would Barry make a change?
Well, every manager that's come in, I think the noise has been, you've got to take the armband, you've got to take the captaincy off of James Tavernier. Not one has done it. So that tells you something. And Barry, who we know very, very well, for him to have those words also about James Tavernier, for me, that's enough. That's a top professional there. That will give his absolute best. It just hasn't been a time where it's been hugely successful in terms of trophies. But in terms of him and his contribution to the football club, it's been massive.
James is on the socials, big Rangers fan, saying, Craig, you captained Rangers. What's it like being the captain of the club?
I didn't last very long.
How long?
Not very long at all. Not even
But
a
you
full
did.
season. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did, and it was a great honour to captain the football club. And there's a lot of pressure. You know, not at that time that I felt as if the pressure changed by becoming the captain, because I'd been at the club for a long time when that happened. But I just think that, you know, the type of clubs Rangers and Celtic, you just know that you're on the spotlight's on you 24/7, and you need to learn and be able to deal with that. And that's not going to be smooth sailing all the time. How can you handle the knocks and and the noise because it's flung at you all the time unless you're going to win in every single match.
Did you know I was captain of Celtic?
I do.
Once.
I know. Tommy Burns.
Great story.
Yeah.
My old man was on his last legs. He only had a couple of days to live, and we were playing playing Motherwell at Fir Park, and Tommy asked me to be the captain on that day, literally in the dressing room before we went out. It was a big wow moment for me, and obviously a very emotional time for me. You saw that it came back to me last week when I saw Neil Lennon. The emotion that came out of him after that astonishing Dunfermline victory, and of course he's thinking about his dad, who he's lost very recently, and it took me back to that moment. And sometimes football can give you a special moment. I mean, Tommy arranged for the whole first team to come to my dad's funeral to give my mum, the rest of the family, and me a bit of support. So. But I don't go down in history as a winning captain. It finished 1-1.
Yeah. Foot in both camps because it was Motherwell. Funnily enough, last week, Kenny Dalglish did a piece for us for the Kilt Walk. So Sir Kenny phoned, and I was talking. He said, he's on the programme here. He's been on before.
Yeah.
And he said, who's on tonight? I said, Andy Walker. He said, Andy's dad, Frank, was worked.
To come down to Liverpool.
Indeed.
Did the deal for him.
Yeah.
That was 77. He left Celtic. I can remember I was 12. What a blow that was to me, to every young Celtic supporter. But my dad took him down and made sure he got a good deal.
It was quite a moment, wasn't it, Craig, at the end of the game when Dunfermline beat Falkirk, when Neil Lennon, you could see it, the tears, and he spoke about it afterwards.
Yeah, I was thinking about my father. Lost him in December. He'd have loved this. So that was for him. Well, he was his biggest influence in my life, not professionally and personally. So he'd have loved this. He'd have been outside with a cigarette, his fedora, his walking stick, telling everyone I told you. So he'd have loved it. So yeah, I'm hoping the family, take a bit of solace in this today. And it's been difficult for us, but he's always been with me. I feel dead calm when I think about him. So. Again, I've lost him. It's a huge loss to me, but it's been I feel him sometimes, you know what I mean?
Fans see the private side of people.
Absolutely, because there always is that human side that we kind of tend to shield when you're in the profession. But, I mean, they're human beings and have their own struggles and problems in life. So it was a great story. And listen, for someone like Neil Lennon, I know he's achieved so much in his career. But to get to a cup final with a Dunfermline, it's like that would be huge. And I know he's kind of spoken about that because it's not really expected, to do that. So you'll be going and hopefully, obviously, trying to get the opportunity to lift the cup. But it was a huge moment for him, and you can see the emotion at the weekend there as well. Fantastic.
No, it's certainly on the map, to be in the National Cup final. If we were here a year ago, Ronnie, scratching a result against Queen's Park, to finish 8th in the Championship with a skeleton squad. So it's a huge, tribute to the owners, people like John Cahoon, who works tirelessly in the background. My backroom team, Ian Brunskill's amazing to keep me as calm as he does. Kevin MacDonald, Andy Collier, Gary. It's a very united club. I'm loving it. And I love the players. I don't get angry with them anymore. They like losing the rag now and again, but I just can't get angry. They're just brilliant. They've covered themselves in glory. And now we've got the big show to come on 23rd of May, but we've a bit of work to do in the league. So the bad news for them is they're in tomorrow. when you're at the business end of the season, and that's where we wanted to be. It's game after game, it's big game after big game, and now they've got a target on their back as well. So a lot of teams will want to take their scalp, and that's the beauty of being where they are. You have to be on edge all the time.
Of course, that was Saturday. 24 hours later, or 25 hours, but after the extra time, he finds out he's up against his old gaffer, Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, I've just done an interview with him. He's doing some punditry work. Gosh, he gets everywhere. But he has done remarkably well. Did brilliantly for me at Leicester and at Celtic. And I think I mentioned to you on Friday, he's done brilliantly. And here at Dunfermline, what an effort yesterday. And so when the time comes, I look forward to it.
So Dunfermline, you wouldn't bet against them, would you?
Oh, they've got a chance. They're in the final. But when I think of Celtic, Dunfermline, I think of Jock Stein. I think of that association. I also think when I won a league title with Celtic, the last game was against Dunfermline. We beat them, and they had a lovely banner just in tribute to the club, to Celtic. Happy birthday! It was a centenary year, and I think there's a great relationship between the clubs, and it will be a very colourful final because Dunfermline are such a well supported team. I think obviously they've been in the doldrums for a bit for a while, but they'll bring a huge support to Hampden.
But deserve it massively. Three Premiership teams have knocked out on the way to the cup final.
Hibs, Aberdeen, Falkirk.
Yeah. So they deserve to be.
Is it
there.
written in the stars?
It's possible. We've seen cup final upsets, absolutely, and Neil will be hoping that's the case. As much as he has a strong allegiance to the Celtic Football Club in his time there, he'll want to go and be the one that's lifting that cup.
He mentioned they were back in then on Monday. The game on Tuesday night, they lost the game. St Johnstone are the winners of the title, and we'd want to wish them congratulations. This is Simo Valakari at full time.
Unbelievable, and of course hard to put in words. But if you think about, we have been leading this championship from the first day. I could not be more proud of it.
Wow, from the first day. So
and they won. What was it? 5 they took off Thistle the very first day of the season, and obviously haven't looked back. And he's been great for them. I think even when he came in last season, I know he eventually took them down, but there was a style of play that I think the St Johnstone fans were buying into, and he's proved this season he's got something to offer.
No, spot on. I think when he come into that job, you're right. The style you've seen straight away, and it was a little bit too late for them. Got to congratulate the job they've done this season. I just hope they don't become that yo-yo club.
Yeah,
because you look at Livingston, that kind of thing, and you play a certain way in the Championship. You try to do exactly the same in the Premiership, but you're up against better quality.
Rory Payton got the second goal.
Watching the ball go in, and I tried to savour it at the end. The crowd and everything. It's been a bit of a turbulent year for me, and just for a moment like that, I feel so lucky.
So that they're coming up, they're playing tomorrow night. They're at home to Wraith Rovers. Be a bit of a party. We quite often see somebody coming to spoil the party. What about the Jags, Andy? Your old team, they're playing at Arbroath. So both of them looking for a playoff.
Eyes now fixed on the playoff. How you go in it? How you go in there? You want your players to be in top form. Very difficult to navigate your way through that. It's so difficult for the Championship side, and I know that Livingston did it last season, but it's not often the Championship side get through that tie against the second bottom in the Premiership. Right now it's Kilmarnock, but I mean anyone, Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Dundee, one of those three. It's so difficult
Take
to
your
call.
pick. What about on Saturday? Are the Jags going to win at Arbroath? Andy, what do you think?
I think the Jags will win. Yeah,
going to win. Craig,
Pump Arbroath.
what do you think? 2-1.
I think Partick Thistle will get the away win. Yes.
Queen's Park are up against Dunfermline, and Craig, Dunfermline need the points as well to make sure they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Dunfermline will get the points. Queen's Park, we've touched on a few times this season in the Championship. Is it Neil Crichton? I think has done an amazing job with them because everybody expected them to go down. But I think Dunfermline will bounce again and get the 3 points this match.
Ross County against Morton. So
I can't believe how Ross County have fallen after getting relegated from the top flight and now relegated. It looks as
like,
though they're going to be relegated.
They did well last
again.
weekend.
Wow.
See, Jakoviti got a goal.
Yeah. An outside chance, but
yeah.
My goodness, what a fall from grace.
It's them and Airdrie, isn't it, at the bottom?
Yeah.
Towards it. Right, a huge game for Ross County at home to Morton, but Morton are a tough side. They're difficult to play against. I can see that being a draw.
Yep, that's tomorrow in the Championship. And of course, tomorrow night, and the other games on Saturday. What about the league? Who's going to be the manager of the year? Is it going to be whoever wins the title? Or will they have to decide before then? We're going to talk about that and more after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
More and more people making the switch. United fan Mark Houston tunes in every night on the way home from a busy day at the office. So, or if he's around the country enjoying the programme, more and more people making the switch to the programme. And tomorrow night, not to be missed, Rob McLean will be here on this chair.
Rob Meissner.
It'll be Rob, along with Barry Ferguson and Mark Guidi. Rob used to be on Football Focus many times. He did some great interviews.
He's taken it down, hasn't he?
Did. Steady. We'll keep that. We'll clip that one up from tomorrow night. No, Rob will be here tomorrow evening.
I say that with some knowledge because I was the man along with Grant Stott who took Scott Sport off the air. It was the only thing that Arthur Montfort said to us as we took over his programme. Just keep the programme going. Within 12 months, it was taken off there.
Jim White and I are still raging with you. Not even I managed to collapse that programme. It was great fun to work on it.
Great fun.
For a number of years. That was the Sunday afternoon programme on STV. 0808 17 17 700, the business end of the season. It's often mentioned. Craig, what are you thinking then for Rangers for the game with Motherwell on Sunday? They've had, 2 weeks off. They've been in the sunshine. I take it you were happy that they went away to get a bit of a break?
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah. I think there's an opportunity to go. I think sometimes when you go away as a group, it can bring you really close together. And at this stage of the season, being close together is going to be really, really important for Rangers to try and get over the line. I think they'll come back with a real energy and buzz for this match against Motherwell at the weekend.
James Tavernier, does he start for you? Actually, better question. Do you think Danny Rule will start him or have him on the bench?
Again, I would always. I don't know what Danny's going to do. You're asking me my opinion. I would have James Tavernier starting the match. Yeah,
doesn't look like it. He's left him out more often than not in recent weeks. And now that you've got a player whose eyes might be focused elsewhere, I know there's so much to play for. It's a big call because if you've got someone who's not going to be there and he makes a mistake, people are going to be questioning.
See, Andrew Kavanagh has spoken today about the skipper, saying that he's a rare breed of player who dedicated so much of his career to one club, and he's praised what he's done for Rangers.
Good. That's good to hear. So Rangers should.
What about the wider team then for Saturday? Has he found, given that Nadiri's been injured, is it Majowski up front along with Chermiti?
I would love to always see two up top, especially at home, and both strikers obviously against the Falkirk in the Falkirk match got a couple each. An informed striker, a confident striker is huge to your team. But I would like to see, and I think Rangers can go with two up top. Absolutely,
Andy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I think you've also got to be wary of Motherwell. I know they lost against Hearts recently at Tynecastle, but look at the amount of chances they created. I mean, really strong chances. Should have scored, in all honesty. A very dangerous team, but given what is at stake, there's no room for slip-ups, especially at home.
I think I think Rangers will be well organised. They don't play an over an expansive type of game and all that. You can set traps against Motherwell because Motherwell look to play out. They want to play this nice way and all that. And if, again, defensively, if you set up and you can set traps, you can get some real joy. And I think that will be the way that Rangers will get ahead. And it's just whether or not they go on with the job. But I do feel as if Rangers will be too strong against Motherwell.
Well, one of those games where they threw a couple of points away a number of weeks ago at Fir Park when they were 1-up, pretty much in control. Motherwell down to 10 men, and it ends up being a 1-1 draw. Huge disappointment for Rangers that night.
There won't be disappointment this weekend, though.
You're quite confident for that one, Craig. And the Rangers fans, they're not saying too much about it. I think they're handling it well. They're just, let's wait and see. A few of them are on early in the week saying, yeah, pretty confident, but nobody getting too carried away. Mikey Moore, is he going to be on the bench, do you think, this weekend? Or would he be, do you think he'll start?
Again, he would be a starting player for me. He's the one player that you do talk about potentially out with what happens in the season, potentially picking up awards. He's very direct. He wants to get at players. He would start. He would definitely start because of the impact that he's made.
It's amazing Tottenham, when you look at them, Andy, probably could do with a Mikey Moore, somebody with that.
Geez.
Yeah.
Tottenham, what a story that is. And he's someone who I think has made a really good decision because he's come to Scotland. When you look at what James Wilson has done, the young Hearts lad who's actually gone the other way, I wonder how he is hoping to develop in that sort of Premier League reserve side. But yeah, Mikey Moore, I think, is the one player that gets you on the edge of your seat if you're a Rangers fan. His goal involvements, he can score, he can create, and he's very direct. He changes the picture as soon as he goes past one player. You know that he's liable to take someone else on before he gets to the byline.
I see, Paul, in terms of that, I know Tottenham's his parent club and all that sort of stuff. See, when you're in that kind of situation, unfortunately, kids, young players, they're not able to change that situation because you need experience around about you. You need good leadership. You need a strong team, and that's when you can then bring in younger players to allow them to flourish. But you're right, and he's very, very direct. He's found the art of coming inside the field and being just as dangerous inside. Where earlier in his Rangers games, he struggled with that.
Just looking at the Rangers team against Motherwell in February that you mentioned, it was Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Giga and Magoma, Chukwani, Raskin, Diamondi, Gassama, Moore and Chermiti. So Majowski would have been on the... Yeah, he was on the bench there. Nadiri was on the bench, obviously. He's injured. Skov Olsen, we've seen next to nothing.
I think what you've seen from Rangers recently, especially at Falkirk, and I know they were 2 goals down, but they've got firepower. They've got Chermiti, they've got Majowski, they've got other options. They've got creative players. I think they've got a good physical attribute. You can get the ball in the box from set pieces, corners, throw-ins, free kicks, and Rangers are a good threat.
Motherwell a threat though as well. We know they're a bit off the boil, but you mentioned Just, for example, what a season he's had. And Maswanisi hasn't scored for 3 weeks or something. It's unheard of this season, Craig, isn't it? 22 goals.
Yeah, no, and again, he's done extremely well for Motherwell. He's fast, and he's scored the amount of goals that you touched on there, Paul. So look, he'll be dangerous. So one thing that I felt with Rangers though, you feel at times frustration, Paul, but even when they went 2 behind against Falkirk, didn't feel as if the game was dead. So that feeling of firepower, that ability to go and score goals and all that sort of stuff, I think is going to be really important, that mentality, because every game is not going to go exactly the way that you want. But can you find a way to get out of that situation?
The Motherwell team on that day was Callum Ward. I see he's in the team of the year from the Football Writers.
Yeah. It's a good shout. I mean, I think it's such a good thing to have behind you, the admiration from your fellow teammates, and for him to be chosen as the best keeper, that goes right across the board. You know, a lot of players from pretty much every team will have voted for him, and that's a huge boost to his confidence.
I smiled there because I thought you were going to say, it's a good thing to have a goalkeeper behind you. It kind of helps, doesn't it? But what a season for Callum Ward. Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn, of course, who's also in the team of the year for the Football Writer. No, this was the players, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What a season he's having, isn't it? Purple patch.
Yeah, but again, he's a leader, isn't he? You know, he's very experienced. Will be a very important player for the manager of Motherwell to get the style across. Had a little bit of an injury, but he's ultra consistent.
I've seen him a few times for part of this season, and honestly, you come away from the game, Motherwell have won it, and you think, he was one of the most effective players on the park today.
Stephen Welsh, of course, on loan from Celtic. Is he going to play a part in the story, the drama? You know, there's so many headlines.
Well, he's improved as a player because he's playing every week. He's playing under a good coach. He's playing beside good players. And I think he will have had a bit of a lift, a bit of a boost to his confidence that he's obviously injury-free and, playing every week. I think he must have really enjoyed the season up until now.
Yeah, he's a competitor. I mean, even when he wasn't unfortunately getting the game time at Celtic, you could see that, there's a player there. At what level he's going to end up at, okay, I think it's still time will tell, but getting games and that sort of stuff, he's certainly flourishing.
Longolo played, Fadinger, he's had a good season. Elliot Watt, people talking about him. Callum Slattery, Elijah Just, we mentioned, Ibrahim Saeed and Tawanda Maswanisi.
Maswanisi, maybe one of those players in line for a nomination for the Player of the Year. Certainly has attracted a lot of attention. I think Martin O'Neill would like to have taken him in January, but he's been terrific all season.
See on that. So if you're a Celtic supporter, Andy, $4 million, I think that was the figure that was going about at that time for Maswanisi. Would you spend $4 million on him?
Well, whatever way the deal is structured, I think Celtic need a goal scorer, and I think they're in the market. You can do a deal at $4 million, but I've no idea who makes the call now on signings. I don't think it was a successful window last summer. I don't think it was a successful window in January. I don't think either manager at the time got what they wanted, and yet they're still in this race. They're still in with a chance of winning the title. So, but in answer to your question, I think he is worth a lot of money, Mas, when you say goal scorers nowadays, absolutely.
He's not an out-and-out striker, though.
He scores goals, and he scores goals regularly. I think you can work with him and keep that going, and he'll get more opportunities at Celtic than he does at Motherwell.
Well, that's an absolute certainty. Yeah, you're right. He'll get a lot of chances.
Just looking at these games coming up, so we talked about Hearts, and if they could win their next two games, wow, they'll be tough to catch. For Rangers, then your old team, Motherwell at home, then Hearts away a week on Monday, isn't it? At the evening kickoff on the bank holiday Monday, and then Celtic away, Hibs at home, and then finish at Falkirk away. Wow. I mean, it's a tough run in. I'm going to do the same with Celtic. We looked there at Hearts. Craig, what are you thinking though? But I sense you've got that finishing line in sight now. Win 5 games.
And I still don't think that any of the 3 will win 5 games, but that's got to be the mindset. You've got to focus on this weekend. I think Rangers will beat Motherwell. I think Celtic will beat Falkirk. Hibs Hearts could be maybe drop points.
Sure.
I think you'd rather be in Celtic's position of having Rangers at home, having Hearts at home. And obviously you need to win every game that's in front of you. They've got a big one at home on Saturday night against Falkirk. And who knows, it might, you keep saying it, Paul, it might come down to goal difference. It might be, there might be an occasion where you think you need to try, not just settle for a 1-2 goal victory.
Have Celtic got that in them? I mean, we saw it against St Mirren.
I'm concerned about their firepower. Without Iheanacho, Shvanchara looks as though he's a bit of a team player. He's obviously missed a number of big chances. Of course, you remember him from that pressure penalty that he scored against Rangers to take Celtic into the semi-final. But he's been out of the team recently. It was Maeda last week. You saw what he did within 60 seconds, putting the goalkeeper Ryan Mullen under pressure and getting a goal. It's difficult to call the starting 11 for Celtic just now, and that's not really been the case over the last number of years.
Martin, you spoke about the goals that they got in extra time.
I think excuse me, I think what the goals will give us today is a real major boost of confidence, that we are capable of scoring some goals, and that would be nice. But listen, things might change at the end of the week. You never know. But today, it's great. The players they really are buzzing in the dressing room today, and from the manner in which we did it.
Craig, if you keep it.
I think when I said at the time Rangers went 2-0 down, come back, win 6-3, that gives a lot of confidence. That gives a lot of confidence, and it puts other clubs on notice. The same argument is there for Celtic in terms of, okay, they would have been disappointed the game went to extra time, but to be able to score 6 goals, it has to give you confidence. So they'll be in a good mindset for the game against Falkirk. There's no doubt about that.
He spoke about where the team has to improve. This is Celtic.
I just think that St Mirren were tough opposition today. I thought the pitch was great, really great. I think that we'll have to improve. no doubt. But then, well, I don't think that we can just be hanging on in games. I think we've got to, if we can get an early goal in matches, I think we have to really, really go for it. Try and put the game to bed if we can do. But there are going to be moments in these next 5 league games where we will be stretched completely, and it's whether we have the resilience to do it.
Callum McGregor was asked if they win the title, it will be one of the best in his time at Celtic.
Yeah, and again, a lot of the outside noise has sort of written us off a few times, and like I said, we're already in a cup final. We're in another one with a chance to win that, and then obviously the league was still, with 5 games to go, still right in it. So it shows what we have overcome. It shows that we are a good side. We've probably just lacked a little bit of consistency, but can we find that over the next 5 games? Generally, when the team have been under pressure, they've managed to produce big results. So hopefully we can do that in the next 5 games.
He leads the club well, doesn't he? In a season of turmoil. I mean, he's saying there's a little bit of this or that.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is not just a good player. He's a good man. He's a good captain. He's a good leader. And even the last few years when I was working at broadcasting, and just the way he spoke, the way he treated people, absolutely, he's worthy of being a Celtic captain, a Celtic leader, and I think he handles it all really well.
I think Celtic are in the position because of the likes of Callum McGregor and the experiences and the successes, Paul, that they've had. I mean, and the period that when Nancy was there, it just goes to show you sometimes when you've got when it's a wrong person and how wrong it can go and how quickly it can go wrong. So that Celtic are in a position that they're in now, still with a chance to win a title, is all about the playing group, because they've just found ways. It really has. Martin O'Neill's come in and done a great job. Listen, he's a wily campaigner. He's very experienced. But for Celtic to still be in this situation to potentially win a title has been incredible on everything that's happened this season.
Stuart's been on 08, 17, 17, 700, and he said, Andy, what would you do with Kasper Schmeichel? Would you say cheerio now? Because, he went to Man City, Arsenal.
You thank him for what he's done.
Yeah.
And, it's a great pity that he's picked up an injury. I think he would have been number one had he been fit. I know he's drawn attention to himself with a few high-profile mistakes, but my message to Kasper Schmeichel is it's thanks for what you've done. I think he's been a good player, and you move on. This idea, when Brendan Rodgers left and he got absolutely slated, I still find that hard to understand. Yeah. And obviously there was a personal fallout there. But for someone who brought 11 trophies to the club and it's no longer his job, you just say thank you and you move on. The personal attack, wow, just uncalled for.
And he's doing well in the Middle East.
Yeah, but I think any club, everyone goes out to try and do their absolute best, right? So why would you not? I mean, why would you not thank people for the services that Schmeichel's a top goalkeeper. Anybody that kind of we're not going to wish him the best of regards in his future is more about them than him.
Yeah,
100%.
What about your old teammate Mikel Arteta?
Go on, son.
So Billy's been on saying, right, come on, Craig, what are you going to say? You're going to give him a call, say, Mikel, is he going to do it? Man City, as we know, now top of the table in goal difference after last night.
Well, I can tell you right now, he wouldn't answer my phone call. Not because we don't like it. He's not a phone person at all. No, not a phone person at all. But listen, I would love to see Mikel get a result. They've closed the gap on Man City, but this is a season where, again, they've put themselves in a wonderful position. There's been a few things that have fallen off by the wayside in recent weeks, Paul. So there is pressure, but I would love to see Arteta and Arsenal win the league. I would.
They were 9 points clear, I think, Andy. And listen, I remember when he was at Rangers, really good young player, 17-year-old. He's got that Scottish connection. It would be great to see him win. And the Arsenal fans, Charlie Nicholas, your old pal, of course.
And I've got a couple of friends who are really, their Arsenal season ticket holders. It would be great for them. They're all sending me a picture of when they're at the Emirates. It'd be a wonderful story. And it's another tough one. I think it's Saturday night as well. They play Newcastle at the Emirates. And every game for them now is tough because you know what it's like. It's the run-in. You can't afford slip-ups. And they just want to try and put the pressure back on City, who are I think they're in the FA
Yeah.
Cup semi-final.
That's right, yeah. They kick in at this time of the year, don't they? You know, Guardiola, he's just got the way. And it's been a poor season by their standard, Craig, but you're still holding on, hoping it's going to be the Gunners or the Gunners.
I would love to. Yeah. For me, like I said, I mean,
Yeah.
Pep's, and not that he's had his time as he's not a good manager and all that sort of
sure.
stuff. But let somebody else have a bit of joy, yeah. Like Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, it'd be nice to see them win.
We're going to talk Scotland. 49 days to go till the
Right.
World Cup. Ollie McBurney, I want to ask you about him. He scored again the other night. Hurst, can he get his way into it? But he's kind of been in the squad. Who's going to take us to the World Cup? That's coming up next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
And don't forget, on Sunday morning, it's the business show with Hunter and Hockey. Not to be missed. They talk so much sense, some great stuff. And my goodness, we need sense in this world, business-wise, politically, everywhere, don't we?
Only just, yeah.
You'd vote for those two, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Craig, it'd be funny to say no on this one, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You heard me hesitate there. You know what it is? It's the final day of filming of River City tomorrow. So that's what I was wondering, James. So thank you for that. So good luck to Stephen. Do you know that Stephen Purden is the longest serving soap character on the telly in Scotland?
How many years?
Oh, come on, don't ask me too many, Andy.
Oh,
You-
What a champion bloke.
He'd have been difficult at school. Well, he is a
He's
champion
a
bloke,
champion
isn't he?
fella, yeah. Nah, top guy.
You love him.
Yeah.
He is a smashing guy. He
Nah,
absolutely is. Yeah.
Who's his team?
Tomorrow morning. Oh, yeah, he's a big Rangers fan, isn't
He's
he?
a massive Rangers fan.
I think that's known, Andy. But keep up to date with the social media, Andy Walker. What's social media? A bit like myself. We're talking Scotland there just before the break about Ollie McBurney. He scored again the other night. So too did, you were just mentioned,
Ross Stewart.
at Southampton.
Well, wasn't it interesting that Ollie McBurney himself said recently he had called Stevie Clark? Why am I not involved? I don't know what the outcome of that was or what the answer was, but I mean, what a chance for anyone. I'm going down to his old club on Saturday, Sheffield United. Might see a bit of Paul Heckingbottom with Preston. Stuart McCall is coaching there. Played against him. He was a teammate of yours for a while.
Stuart McCall, Slider McCall.
Yeah.
But you look at it, and obviously we speak about Lawrence Shankland up here, who probably the best Scottish striker, best striker in Scotland rather. And then you've got Shea Adams, who's always in the Scotland squad. You've got Ross Stewart knocking on the door. You've got Ollie McBurney. You've got George Hurst. You've got Lyndon Dykes. You've got Tommy Conway at Middlesbrough, who's been involved. So not all of them can make it. So that's the call you go with the manager. That's his call.
And
all you can do, Paul, as a player is present your case by what you do on the weekend. Ross Stewart, I think he scored 7 this season. Southampton, he's in a bit of form. You touch on, Ollie McBurney. All they can do is do their talking on the field. Stay fit and healthy, give yourself a chance. Steve Clark's going to take a squad that he thinks is going to be able to represent Scotland in the best possible way, and that decision will be down to him in the end.
And of course, 10 goals, Barney Stewart at Falkirk. I mean, it's not going to happen, probably, is it, for these players?
No, I don't think so. I think there are people with a number of caps. It would be truly remarkable if he was to be involved. He's had a great season, but to make the step up to the international squad in such a short space of time, it's maybe too big a step.
Rory's been on. Guys, who's your player of the year? I know it's still early and it could still be time to write your name into the book.
Right now, I think the biggest contenders play with Hearts and they play with Motherwell. Me and Craig are both struggling to come up with outstanding individuals for Celtic, for Rangers. I'd probably go with someone like Braga, who has just been a big personality player, a big part of what Hearts have given the league this season, the story. And he's involved in goals. He scores goals himself. I know he's got a great song about him, but
can you sing it? 17 goals.
And obviously Maswanisi.
Just has been good also.
There are so many contenders out with Celtic and Rangers, so it'll be interesting to see what choice the players come up with, and then the writers themselves.
Greg,
Braga.
Yeah.
Braga for me in terms of the important goals that he's come up with. He's extremely lively. He's been consistent the whole season, and Hearts have been top for a long time. So I think he's probably the one that will get it this season.
Yeah, see, Andy Robertson picked up, I think on behalf of the international team, the men's team of the year. is Scotland, given that they're going
Yeah,
to the
well,
World Cup. Yeah.
What they're giving everyone, even right now, the idea of looking forward to the World Cup, those who are lucky enough to be going, that's something that you can really enjoy for a good number of months. You're looking forward to the World Cup because you know you're travelling to Boston or Miami. It's if you're a Scotland fan and you're lucky enough to have a ticket, just a great ride to be on.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it. Caroline, we've of course got the women's international player, the Real Madrid player. So well done to Caroline. Manager of the year. I think they should leave it until the last day.
Yeah.
Wait till
Well, whoever wins the title is the manager of the year for me. And I know Askew at Motherwell has been terrific with their brand of football, but right now they are in fourth position, and I think it should always be elite. You got a good mention to Stephen Robinson for winning a trophy for St Mirren. But I think whoever wins the title is the manager of the year. But if you have to stop right now and make a call, we haven't seen this level of consistency from a manager out with Celtic or Rangers. And that's why, Derek McInnes right now is the outstanding manager. But, I mean, how sore would it be for Hearts if they don't go over the line now?
Sure. Craig, manager of the year, what would you do?
Again, I don't know when the cut-off is, but like Andy, for me, it's Derek McInnes. Can't remember the last time anybody, outside the old firm, someone's had that opportunity. It was the 80s.
To win it, before.
You know
sorry, it was 40 years ago when Hearts almost beat Celtic last day of the season.
But if you vote now, Craig, you vote Derek McInnes.
Oh,
if you vote at the end of the
100%,
season and
100%.
Hearts haven't won it, I mean, you look, has Danny Rowe won it? He's the manager of the year.
Yeah.
But if Martin O'Neill wins it, wow, what a story that is. He's the manager of the year, I think.
Yeah. No, I sort of like don't disagree with that, Andy. Today, we would say Derek McInnes.
Mark Goody suggested in the programme that they do a phone vote after the last game.
Okay.
And then just decide then who's going to win it. Craig, I ask you both every week. At the moment, what do you feel? I sense you're thinking that your old club are going to do it.
I still think Hearts are favourites.
All right, okay.
I still think Hearts are favourites.
I go along with that as well. Hearts are favourites. They've met every hurdle put in front of them. They are top of the table with 5 games to go. I think the next two, I'm still saying Hearts, but the next two, if they win the next two, the Hibs at Easter Road and the Rangers at Tynecastle, I would imagine that will give them enough to get over the hurdle of Motherwell and Falkirk before they play Celtic.
Is there a radio station in Edinburgh that will employ you two every week? Glasgow's own. No, it may well be. And Derek McInnes, a West of Scotland boy, he's captain. Lauren Shankland, the Glasgow boy. Right, what about this weekend then? Celtic Falkirk is the first of the big three. Craig, what do you think? What kind of scoreline?
Celtic to win fairly comfortably. I'll go 3-1 Celtic.
3-1 Celtic, so they'll go joint top. Probably, they will until Rangers then. Andy, what do you reckon, your old team?
I think Celtic will batter Falkirk and they'll win 5-0.
Okay, so shades of 40 years ago.
Suddenly hit the goal scoring track, and that'll give the rest of them a bit of fear.
5-0. Is that fear in your eyes there? I see, Craig. Just wait and see.
Well, again, like I said, both have got a chance to respond on the back of scoring 6 goals. I think Rangers at Motherwell. Sorry, at home to Motherwell, I think.
Yeah, what's your scoreline on that one? You'll be there.
Yeah, I'm going for a 2 or 3-0 for Rangers. Yeah.
Handbrake off.
Need to, like you said, you get one goal and get more, go get the second, go get the third.
No, we want 2 or 3. What is it? Because goals are important.
That's true.
Well, Rangers are not too bad with their goals. I'll go 3 because more's always better.
Right, exactly. You're 11 ahead of Celtic at the moment. Pick your battles, Andy. So what do you reckon? 2 or 3? Yeah.
I'll go 3.
Go 3. Exactly.
I'm feeling 3.
Andy?
Rangers.
Motherwell.
2-1 Rangers.
2-1. Hibs against Hearts then. Craig, what do you think?
Hearts 2-1.
Hearts 2-1. Okay, so they'll go back top of the table. Andy. And remember, it's only twice this season all 3 of them have won on the same weekend.
If there's going to be an upset, I'm going for this weekend. So I'm going for the High Beast to win that one. The way they did earlier this season, that level of commitment.
Yeah.
And my goodness, what would that do to
the run-in
to the run-in?
Well, that would put games to go. Sure, that would put Rangers top of the table, assuming that the other 2 win. Rangers would go on to 72, Hearts would go 71, Celtic would be on 70. Wow. Craig, what do you think is going to happen at Easter Road? I mean, Thomas will be loving that just now in San Francisco. and hoping that's the case.
No, Hearts would not go on to 71.
No.
They would stay. I'm going
Oh,
for
they
a
lost. I beg your
Hibs
pardon.
win.
Sorry, I was assuming you were
So
saying.
Celtic would
I'm
still
with
be
you.
third.
Yes.
Because they're not got enough
Keep me
goals.
right. I should have. Sorry, I was
keep you
taking
right.
it in my head that it was a draw. Wow. Thank you for that, Andy.
So you're asking me what the Hibs Hearts game?
Yeah.
Again, I feel that Hearts they'll certainly be tested because we know what's at stake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think the Hearts will have too much.
Yeah.
I do.
Excellent. I thought you were saying a draw. I know. I'd mentally gone ahead. It's a season like no other, for sure.
Great drama.
Isn't it?
And so many eyes on Scottish football, so much chat about Scottish football. And even I feel it when I go to games. I mean, I'm doing games in
England,
the lower leagues and the Championship, 1 or 2 in the Premier League, and they're all talking about Hearts. They're all noticing Hearts. They're noticing this title race. I mean, it's a great race in England, in the top flight. But Scottish football's just getting a lot of chat about it, which is it's good to hear.
It sure is. Kiltwalk this weekend, 20,000 people will be walking
Fantastic.
for over 1,000
Good luck to
charities.
every
So
one of them.
Thank you very much. It's looking good. Thanks so much to everyone. So
Thanks,
many of
Paul.
our listeners will be there. Gina will be there as well. She'll be working at the Kiltwalk. Thanks so much. Rob's here tomorrow night with Barry and Mark. Have a great evening.